Alright, what's up guys? So in the last video I talked about what size skateboard deck you should think about buying. Now I want to talk about the size of the trucks that you should think about buying when you're setting up a new skateboard for the first time. So this is something very, very important that you should understand, especially if you want to customize your skateboard a little bit. You don't want to just have a complete setup, or you don't want to have to just keep buying trucks every single time. You want to just buy the right ones and keep them. And so ideally, it's best to buy trucks that are obviously the same width of the board that you're riding. So if you're riding a board that is 8 inches in width or an 8.0, then you're going to want to buy trucks that are 8 inches in width as well. But there are cases, especially like for me, where I might ride a board that's 8 inches in width and I realize it's too small for my liking. I want to go to an 8.25. Does that mean I have to get new trucks that fit 8.25? And the answer is no. It's okay to have trucks that are a little too small for the board. There are actually a handful of pros that actually prefer their trucks to be a little smaller. For me, I ride an 8.5 deck with 8.25 trucks. There's really no reason behind it other than the fact that I have just kept the same trucks that I started with and I didn't want to have to buy trucks every single time. However, it can become a problem if the trucks are way too small or way too wide. Trucks are wider than the width of the board. You're going to have a lot of problems with your pushing of your feet. If you're pushing your board and you accidentally hit your wheel, you're probably going to end up falling, and it's just not going to be as aesthetically pleasing for you to look down and see your wheels sticking out. Whereas also, if your trucks are way too small, you might get the opposite effect where if you look down, it looks like you're literally just floating on a skateboard deck, and you might have some weird wheel bite or pinch points from the deck. And if you flip your board over, you might see some little circles where the board will catch onto the wheels and whatnot. So it's okay to have trucks that are maybe, you know, just a tad bit smaller than the board, or I guess if you want a tad bit larger, but the rule of thumb is really just to kind of try to match the board size as much as possible. Even if I had size 8 trucks with an 8.5 deck, it still would be fine. You won't really notice too much of a difference, but I think when you're starting out, or if you're looking at different trucks, I think what you need to be focusing on is the height of the trucks themselves. So when you go to your skate shop for the first time, or if you've been for a while but you still don't understand what the terms are, you'll see that trucks are labeled as low, mid, and high. And these measurements really accommodate for different types of skate styles. Just like with skateboard decks, a lot of people that skate transition or ramps or bowls, those are all basically referring to transition skating. These are the people that are going to prefer wider decks and higher trucks. This gives them a lot more room to turn, keeps their feet wide and leveled on the board, and they have a much easier time skating these obstacles. Whereas people that want to do a lot more flip tricks, they want to do a lot of popping, they want to do a lot of grinding and rail tricks, they might prefer a smaller size board like an 8.25 or an 8 or just an 8, and they will probably want to have low trucks. Keeps their center of gravity lower to the ground. They're not so high off the ground where they feel uncomfortable, and they're not going to be doing as much turning as someone that's skating transition. Because when you're skating transition, you want to have enough room to turn where your board isn't going to scrape the bottom of, you know, the ground or whatnot. Whereas with technical skaters that are just skating an obstacle, you don't really have to turn or carve the board as much as these transition skaters. So the next time you go to your skate shop, really just focus on matching the width of your skate trucks with your skateboard, but also look at the size of the trucks. They also have a middle option, which are just mid trucks. This gives you kind of the best of both worlds. You're a little bit higher off the ground, so you can carve or turn a little easier, but you're not so high where your center of gravity is maybe like too high for your liking. So you really play around with it. Most people that are just starting off will just get trucks that match their board size and then get low trucks, because typically if you're just starting out, you're just going to be doing ollies, kick flips, whatnot, the basics on flat. So keeping yourself low to the ground is probably going to be most beneficial for your life. So hope that helps. When you go in next time, hopefully now you can understand the low versus mid versus high and what trucks are which. And that's all I got. Hopefully that helps, and peace.